Welcome to all of you beautiful beings for our Surrender Circle Michael Singer live stream. Hello, Wendy. Thank you all for joining. Thank you very much. I just finished listening in entirety to the talk we are going to listen to today for Michael Singer. So I've heard it before and I heard it again just now. It's awesome. And we'll give a few minutes before we dive in. To gather together. To join. Michelle, are you on a motorcycle in your picture? Nice. Hello, Susan. Welcome. Nice to see you. Glad you're here. Good morning, Kendra. Nice to see you again as well. I have been, excuse me. Good morning, Barbara. Listening to Thich Nhat Hanh. Anybody that doesn't know who that is, let me know. But a Vietnamese Buddhist monk, basically. Somebody on YouTube has uploaded, he wrote all these like mini books that are really amazing called How to See, How to Fight, How to Love, How to Eat, How to Walk. Like there's all of these awesome, they're like an hour-long audio books. I've found them so helpful. And it's like, I thought I knew what mindfulness meant because it's so simple. And yet, there's probably 12 of them and I've listened to all of them. So, listening to 12 plus hours of him talking about it, it moved it to a new level. No mud, no lotus. That's a very famous saying now. I don't know if he coined it. But the point is that I am now being more mindful, which means in every moment, as much as I do, I focus on that, breath, presence, all of the stuff. But what's different about what I've learned is it's about a different way of seeing, which is very interesting and exciting because he talks about with food especially, or like fruits. He gives the example in more than one of his books, or even looking at flowers or fruits or plants or humans, looking beyond what we see in the physical form to the elements in which everything is made up, which is, he says stars, which I love. Which reminds me of the Crosby, Stills, and Nash. We are stardust, we are golden, we are billion-year-old carbon. So, it's a practice of orienting, anchoring to the breath, being mindful in every moment. So I've been practicing that more, loving it. And this morning I lost my keys. So this is the point of the story, but I had to set it up. Well, I didn't lose them. I misplaced them. And I never, ever, never, that never happens. And so, I was about to go outside. Oh, my keys aren't where I thought they should be. And then, just quickly, oh, they're not here, they're not here. Oh, they're not here, they're not here, they're not here. Okay, well, what's going on? as I wasn't finding them, energy arose in the body of resistance. And I kept repeating in my mind, oh, isn't this interesting? Isn't this interesting? The keys are not here. Isn't this interesting? Oh, they're not there. Isn't this interesting? While staying in the experience of, the emotions, the energy in the body. Because I had to come here, and I was like, well, I want to, find them before the live stream so I can be more present. But I feel like that being the mindful piece there was still some mindfulness. I slowed down and I told myself, I will find the keys faster if I'm mindful. If my energy is centered and calm and present. I mean, regardless, I'm going to take the same actions of looking, but it will be a more peaceful experience, and I will probably find them faster than if I'm just going, oh, where are they? And after a few minutes, I found them in my pocket of my dirty clothes that I was about to wash, so they were hidden. Hi, Amy, Patrice, Monica, Jessica, Nancy, Sharon, hello. Ah, yes, thank you for that reminder, Martin Luther King Day in the U.S. Actually, interesting you bring that up because Martin Luther King nominated Thich Nhat Hanh for a Nobel Peace Prize in 1967. I just learned that. Which is what I was talking about when I started the story. So, thank you, Nancy, for the donation. If you're new here, please say hello if you'd like. I'm Natalie, spiritual life coach and Reiki Master Teacher. Give me a follow here on Insight Timer if you care to give a donation. You can do so here, or there's other ways to do so as well. Follow me on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Check my website. If you feel the heart call to reach out and connect more deeply one-on-one, send me a private message. Thank you, Maria. So, who here does not know who Michael Singer is? Hi, Rose. Going once, going twice, and you don't, even if you don't know, it's fine. We will be starting a new talk today, and just so you know, even if you don't come here every time and you miss some of them, etc., don't worry. These are timeless messages in which whenever you're landing and finding this, it's the message for you. So if you even have to leave early, I will have this uploaded in my YouTube, but, don't worry. It's not linear here. We don't work in linear fashion. So good morning, Cynthia. Glad to see you. So if everybody knows who Michael Singer is, we're just going to jump right in. So the way the Surrender Circle experience works is I will play one of his talks. If you want the link to the talk, send me a private message. I'll send you the link. So he gives talks a couple times a week at his compound, at his home, it's called the Temple of the Universe. And so they're recorded and put online. So this is where this talk comes from. Ooh, awesome, Patrice. Is it your first time reading one of his books? Welcome, John. So I'll just show you, for those who may not know, he has Untethered Soul, most well-known one. Then he wrote the memoir Surrender Experiment, and just recently Living Untethered. And actually, let's draw a card. So those of y'all that know me know that I just got to visit and meet Michael Singer a few months ago, and I got his cards, the Untethered Soul cards. He signed them. And yeah, so love bringing this deck into especially all my live streams or whenever I feel like it, and also the Michael Singer live streams. So let's see what he has to say through his cards for us right now. And it's a quote from the Untethered Soul. This card is called Going Beyond. And it says, we get this one all the time. So this, because I haven't even seen every single card in there yet, but here it is again. Again, we get to be reminded that beyond is infinite in all directions. Beyond is infinite in all directions. So, let's dive in. Let me plug in my computer. And I invite you to make this a mindful practice. I know you're accessing this talk from a device. And, you know, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So I invite you to be mindful and meditative in this talk right now, that you pay your full attention, focus, and energy into this experience, or you leave. If your mind is divided, if your energy is divided, choose something and do it fully. So if that's being here, fully present in this space and taking in this transmission, great. And if your mind is somewhere else or you're scrolling somewhere else, that you do that fully. But do yourself that favor, because that will change your life. Yeah. Hi, Joanne. Well, it's not meant to be harsh, Michelle. I can hear you on that. And it's an invitation to practice full presence, attention, and mindfulness. Hi, Rochelle. Hold on, there's a truck going by. Mexican streets. Hi, Paula, welcome. So, let's go ahead and dive in. And so we will just listen until I feel called to stop. And as I told you earlier, I've already listened to this whole talk this morning, so it's very fresh in my mind. And if you want the link. So this one, it's not from Sounds True. So he has a podcast on Sounds True. And a lot of people take from his website his talks and put them on their own channels. So this is one of those. So they have titled this one, You Are Transcended to This World. So here we go. And let me know if it's too loud, not loud enough.
Gyrative. Jam Masters.
Oh, in this one, the person put some background meditative music to it, so that's nice. So that you will hear a bit of that.
Life, growth, spirituality, they're all the same thing. You basically get to a point where you realize you were born and you're going to die. In between, there's this thing called time. It's yours. It doesn't belong to anybody else. You have to ask yourself, what do you want to do with that time? You should ask yourself that regularly. I always suggest that every morning and every evening, you put aside at least 15 minutes. Doesn't have to be a big deal. Just put aside at least 15 minutes. And what you do with that time is your business. You want to call it meditation, want to call it contemplation, want to call it getting your head straight, getting centered, doesn't matter. You need that time. And one of the things you do with that time, every morning, every evening, is remember that you're a day closer to leaving. What is it you decided you wanted to do with your time here? Because that's your job, that's your career. If you get lost in anything smaller than that, you miss the picture. So this thing about the time between your birth and your death being yours, and it's something very, very precious, and no one gets to tell you what to do with it. It's your business. But if you don't pay attention, you won't do anything with it. You won't even realize you're not doing anything with it. It will just go by. And your days will fly by. So let's talk about that. If you don't put the time aside, and you don't become what we call a conscious being. What is a conscious being? Everybody's conscious. A conscious being is somebody who knows they're conscious. They're paying attention. They're there. They're present. They're not missing things. And they're making decisions based upon the fact that they've decided where they want to go. I'll talk about your career or your marriage. That's all tiny little things. It's all going to go away when you die. So it can't be so important. What's important is, what are you going to do with your time here? What do you want to do? And if you don't put aside these bookends where you're remembering to remember, what is going to happen is as follows. There is a default that if you don't do anything about it, this is what's going to happen. It's very low level. It's like animal instinct type stuff, just a little bit above it. It's the lowest part of your being. You're going to have an experience. All the time you're having experiences. Things are happening. You're seeing things. You're hearing things. You're feeling things. And some experiences are not going to be pleasant, and some experiences are going to be pleasant. It's just how it is. So they're going to come in, and they're going to hit you different ways, ever since you were young. And these experiences, especially the ones that don't feel good and the ones that feel really good, are going to leave very powerful impressions inside of you. So if something happens to you and it was in a car and there was an accident when you were young, if you're not careful for the rest of your life, you will not be comfortable in a car. If your parents died in a plane accident, I am telling you, you will have trouble when you're riding a plane. These impressions get left there, don't they? That's what's going to determine your life if you don't do anything about it. These impressions that got randomly left because of the experiences that you had are going to get stimulated by the moments that are unfolding in front of you. And if they remind you of something that was uncomfortable, you're not going to like what's happening in front of you, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with what happened to you 20 years ago. So you're letting your life be run by nothing, by ghosts, by meaningless stuff. If you're not careful, that's what's going to happen. And you're going to get filled with these impressions. You pick them up as you go along the way. And if they were pleasant, you're going to run after the thing that reminds you of them. Even though I guarantee you the thing that reminds you of them has nothing to do with the experience you had 5 years ago or 7 years ago or 10 minutes ago. Nothing. The universe is changing every moment right before your eyes, and you're letting these past impressions store inside of you, and then you are making decisions, reacting, going toward things, going away from things, liking things, not liking things, hopes, opinions, preferences, beliefs. All of that stuff is just the leftover impressions of what happened to you. In psychology, Skinner, a behavioral psychologist, said, man is the sum of his learned experiences. That is not true. You are you in there, but your mind and your heart, your personal, your human heart, are the sum of your learned experiences. Your heart will open in the presence of someone or something that made it open before, and it will close in anything that reminds you of what closed it before. Have you noticed? And then, if you're not paying attention and doing something about it, you will follow that. You will say, oh, but I like him. You don't know why. I do. Past impressions. just some combination of the eyeglasses and the way the hair is, and reminded you of the uncle that you liked. I don't know. Some composite thing hit you a certain way, and the next thing you know, you're attracted and drawn toward that, and then there's no purpose in your life. You're just running after and being affected by the past experiences, the past impressions that got left inside of you. It's very important. I don't want to get lost. I usually talk a lot about that because it's important. But I just want to make sure we're communicating and then move on. That stuff that happened to you before is meaningless. It has absolutely nothing to do with what's happening right now. If I pick you up and you've never been to a certain country, a certain city, and I take you out of here, just plop you down into a street in that city, I'm telling you what is going on in that city. Even though you don't speak the language, you don't know the people, and you've never been there, you're going to immediately start to like and dislike things. You're going to immediately start to say, well, this is right, that's wrong, I can't believe you do things like that. You're bringing with you into an environment you've never been in, and it has nothing to do with you, the impressions that got left because of where you grew up in, Wisconsin or Illinois or wherever it was, right? These things that have nothing to do, nothing, zero, they have nothing to do with where you are. And yet they seem like they do because they hit your stuff. And so all of a sudden, like and dislike and attraction and repulsion and all kinds of judgments and everything comes up inside of you, and you start interacting with the moment in front of you based on what came up. Have you noticed that?
Breathe deeply. Is everybody keeping up with what he's saying so far? I know if you know Michael Singer, likely you're following because he talks about the same things all the time. But maybe if there's some people not familiar with him, it's a good place to pause. Sort of. Patrice. Yes. Barbara. Awesome. I know our veterans here with Michael Singer know this topic well. What he started out with is saying that we get to remember in our meditation practice. He suggests meditating for 15 minutes twice a day to orient to the fact that we're going to die very soon, and that we have one day less than we did the day before. That's a Buddhist philosophy, which may feel morbid and uncomfortable for some people, and it's the ultimate truth and reality. And the purpose and the benefit of that is to not take yourself so damn seriously, basically, and not take what's happening so damn seriously, because if you think about this planet, came from a bang of some kind that came from somehow, some way, 13.8 billion years ago. We are the Big Bang still banging. And literally we're, it's like, I know for me, if I see an ant or a butterfly or a firefly, like often I'll think they're like, some of their lifespans are a day or a month, and I'm like, well, if we zoom out, our life is like a day or an hour or a blink. Although we don't experience that way. Carl Sagan, in his Cosmos series, has an amazing segment where I think I tried to share it here before, but I couldn't exactly find it in the live stream, that he made a year calendar, and like moment one was the Big Bang, and then the end was now. Hi, Anisha. And it says, like, basically for 5 months of this year, nothing happened. Nothing. Like, then the earth wasn't even formed until, like, way into this calendar year that represents 13.8 billion years. And that, life on earth took even longer, and that humanity, now I'm probably getting the scale wrong, so if this is interesting to you, you can search like Carl Sagan calendar, or you can send me a private message, I can find the video. But basically the point is, it's like the last day, like December 31st on this calendar, is like when humans began, and even like I think the last hour of the year is like when technology has flourished, and so basically, I mean, we're here for a second. And so Singer is saying twice a day, remind yourself of that. The Buddhists have a meditation, what they call meditating on the charnel ground. And I'm not totally sure about that. If somebody else knows, tell me. But it's like some sort of burial place where they would burn and leave the bodies and things, and like you imagine yourself in all these different stages. So it's another way of saying die before you die. I mean, I love teaching this work because it's just like everything is saying the same thing. The Bible says that. I'm glad this is helpful. So he started out with that reminder, and it's like, okay, then, our life is not about career and job and house payments, marriage. It's about being here now. And then he started talking about, and this is where he dives in often, and it's good to be reminded of this often also. Why do we have the reactions that we have? Why are we suffering? Why are we not happy? Because as we grow up in this world, we experience life, and impressions are made that later in the talk he will name them in Hindu religion and Sanskrit. It's called samskaras. So if you know Singer, you've heard him talk about samskaras. So he's describing samskaras, impressions that are left inside because we resisted or clung to the energy and we didn't let it pass through. So he's giving these examples of, if something bad happened in your childhood that reminds you, and then now you see a thing now in your life and it reminds you of that, you're going to have that experience, you're going to have that projection, that perception on top of actual reality. And yeah, Nancy, great description there, looking at things with a new curiosity instead of through the lens of past experiences and programming. He gives the example, imagine you're dropped into a new country you don't know anything about. You're going to immediately make judgments based on past experiences. Great question, Paula. Stay tuned. He will talk about that. So we'll continue and hear what he has to say. Anything else before we restart? Okay.
You know why it's hard to see? Because it's so prevalent we don't see it. We live lost in this ocean of our past impressions that keep coming up. You brought with you to the country you've never been in before didn't you? And then somehow everything's supposed to be like that. But it's not. Well, then it's wrong. They do things wrong. Boy, they do things weird. They serve the dessert before the dinner. What kind of thing is that? Okay, like I said, unless you do something about it, that is the default. You will do that with your relationships. Let's just do it once more. Please pay attention, because you'll have so much trouble with relationships. This is why. As you grow up, you have different experiences, and you even watch movies that leave impressions on you, and you see other people that leave impressions on you. Plus, you have other relationships since you're 8, 10, 12, 14 years old, and they leave impressions on you. So what you end up doing is formulating within you the perfect person. How they would act, how they would be, what kind of job they have, whether they're an outdoor person or an indoor person, just every single aspect based upon impressions that have been left on you, what turned you on and what turned you off. No wonder you have so much trouble with relationships, because you're supposed to be having a relationship with another person, but you're not. You're having a relationship with you, with the person you made up. And if that person matches what you made up, you think they're your soulmate. Oh my God, they're so perfect, until they do one thing that you would never have thought they would do. Well, why would you? You never had that impression. They come from a totally different place than you do. There's no way. There is no one out there, no one ever, who matches what you made up. What you made up is just a collage of all these different experiences you had. Nobody else had those experiences. So if somebody appears to match, better be careful. Okay? I mean, there are nice relationships to have, but that's not one of them. Because you're just going to eventually say, God, I thought she was just right, and then I can't believe what she did. I would have never thought she would have done that. Guess whose problem that is? Yours. You have no right to make somebody up in your head and then decide you met them and project onto that person how they're supposed to be dressing and behaving and acting and talking and treating you and everything. So this is why we have so much trouble with relationships. While we're on it, a true relationship is you have found within yourself, where we're going to go by the end of this talk, you found within yourself peace and well-being and beauty and love, because it's in there. You don't need anybody else. And you like sharing it. If they want to share, fine. If they don't, fine. It's so beautiful, right? You're whole and complete within yourself. You're not needing anything from another person. You're just sharing the beauty that you found inside yourself. Should you be fortunate enough to find another person that's doing the same thing, or at least working on it, that's a very nice relationship. That's a spiritual relationship. The other is just a need thing where you're trying to get somebody else to be the way you think you need them to be for you to be okay. All right. So I've given a couple of examples of what the default is going to look like if you don't do something about it. And I swear, you got, 7 billion of you running around the planet Earth doing it by default. It's a rare exception that somebody wakes up and does something about this. Otherwise, they just have these different impressions and they behave accordingly and expect everyone else to be that way and get very upset when it's not and try to manipulate and control everybody to be the way they think they need to be, the way that feels good for them based on their past experiences. Do you understand that your past experiences mean nothing? I mean, I got to talk strong because it's so different than what people are used to. Your past experiences mean nothing, nothing, nothing. You could have been turning your head the other way when something happened. You'd have a different experience. It's a totally random thing that you just happen to pick up the moment what was in front of you. At any given moment, how much didn't you pick up? How much is going on everywhere else that you didn't see? Like everything. You picked up 0.00000, etc., 1% of what's going on. And then you make a big deal of it, as if somehow the world's supposed to be based on the impressions you had. It's not. There's no way it's supposed to do that. And so a wise person catches on that I don't get to do this. I don't get to collect these past experiences and then have them tell me what the moment in front of me is supposed to be like and get upset if it's not and start to manipulate and control everything around me to be the way I want it to be and fight with everybody. That's what creates all the turmoil. That's what everybody's doing. And that's the default of what will happen if you don't do something about it. All right. So that's danger zone. All right? And maybe you know something about it. Most people do, because we live our lives that way. And then what's going to happen is more and more you will wake up in the morning and you'll be scared. Scared of what's going to happen today. Scared that something's going to go wrong. Scared that something you don't want's going to happen. Scared that something you want's not going to happen. Scared that somebody won't like you. You're going to find that if you have a conversation with somebody and you walk away, that the conversation doesn't stop when you walk away. That it keeps going on in your head. You start wondering why you said what you said, and maybe you should have said something else, and what does the person think of you? And, that is inevitable. What is going to go on if you're living that type of life? A life that says, I've made up this collage of how it's supposed to be, and now I'm judging everything based on that, and it becomes a struggle. It becomes difficult. That's why people have ulcers, why there's so much tension. That's why life seems like a struggle. Life is not a struggle. Life is literally get on a river, going downstream, and enjoy the scenery. I want to create this contrast so you wake up. Life, literally, at all times, get in a raft, on a river, flowing downstream, and enjoy the scenery every single moment. That's what life is. It's been going on for 13.8 billion years, everywhere throughout the entire universe, and part of it's flowing in front of you. Very little, all right, but there's a part of it. Are you having a good time? Are you enjoying what's taking place? Do you wake up in the morning excited and enthused to wonder what's going to happen? Isn't this going to be neat? I wonder what will happen today. What will I get to see? It's like going to camp. It's just so exciting. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's just exciting to see it. What are you going to see today? You're going to see what's going on in front of you. What are you going to miss? Everything else. Better get used to that. People run around, I want to experience everything. I'm afraid I'm going to miss something. Well, that's crazy. You're going to miss everything. You're going to miss every single thing except the laser point of what's in front of you. You're missing everything, every other planet, every other galaxy, every other thing on the planet Earth. Get with the program. So, what is the alternative? The alternative first is to realize you need to wake up. Not because somebody told you to. This never has anything to do with anybody telling you. You have to wake up within yourself and realize life is supposed to be beautiful. Life is a beautiful experience. It's not a struggle, because you're just willing to have the experience of your life, whatever it is. And if you're willing to have it, it has a beauty to it. It's teaching you things. It's challenging. It's just a beautiful experience. If you're not willing to have it, if you've taken the opinion that life is supposed to be what I made up this model of how things should be. That's how it's supposed to be. You're in big trouble. You just went to war with reality. So again, let's move on. What can you do about it? You can put aside some time every single morning.
Let's just pause for a minute there, because he's shifting gears, and somebody, Paula said, how do we let it pass through? So he's about to get into that. Welcome, Madeline. I've also seen Jeff and Gina, if I didn't say hello already. Glad everybody's here. Rose, just reading your question. Yeah, great question. So in the context of, longer standing relationships, parents, spouses, lovers, children, friends, my answer to that would be yes. That the optimally, that is exactly what would occur every moment, regardless of what's outside of you, that you would be fully present. And if somebody you've had a long-standing connection with is in front of you in that moment and they're saying and doing things that they've said and done before, that you treat each moment as if it's a brand new moment and experience. So my answer would be yes. He's saying that we don't base our present feelings and decisions based on the past experiences with that person. I'm not saying it's easy. And I believe it's possible. And it's not easy. It's simple, possible, not easy. Hi, Elena, Maggie, awesome, another singer fan. So, we will continue. Okay, Bruce has a question. My sense is that, Michael Singer says, you look to, first, while you're present, and then you notice your reactions of like and dislike that form inside your mind and heart. So in the context of a relationship that is lower vibration, if you want to call it toxic, whatever. If you're in an experience with somebody in the moment and something is occurring, you notice what your personal reactions are of like and dislike that are forming inside your mind and heart. And Paula, this goes into how to let go. And that you let the moment flow through you, let the experiences flow through you, as far as not getting lost in the mind and the thoughts and the past and the stories, being present with the heart, allowing the heart to do whatever it needs to do, whatever energies, emotions that are there, that you are the witness to that. So that's letting go of the reactions of like and dislike that form inside the mind and heart. And then, once you do that, with the resultant sense of clarity, you will have a clarity when you're not attached, when you're not acting from personal reaction. From the resultant sense of clarity, you simply look to see what is being asked of you by the moment unfolding in front of you. What is being asked of you in that moment with that person standing there saying those things or doing those things? Without being driven by personal preferences, which is all the projections and things and samskaras and impressions that he's talking about. You simply look to see what's being asked of you by the moment unfolding in front of you. What would you be doing if you weren't being influenced by the reactions of like and dislike? He talks about this in other talks of like, oh, if somebody's hitting you, do you just let them keep hitting you? No. Or if the house is burning, do you just stay there? No. I mean, you make plans, but you work with yourself first. You center yourself first. You don't react. You respond after you work with your inner self. Now, what he says is, if you're new at this, you don't start out going to your, parents that abused you and trying to resolve all the past traumas. You don't know. He says no. You start with scale. You start with low-hanging fruit, which is scales. So he calls it low-hanging fruit. An example he gives is like playing the scales on the piano. You don't go to your first piano lesson and they give you Beethoven. So in the situation Bruce and maybe Rose is talking about, like that would be Beethoven, to try and play Beethoven. You start with low-hanging fruit with the process I just described. Traffic, weather. When you can navigate those experiences, I mean, we can't control the weather. Nobody can. I mean, who knows? Maybe there is somebody, but our mind has opinions about the weather. So we see the weather. We notice a personal reaction of like and dislike. There's 0% thing we can do, chance that we can change the weather. So you notice that, you let go of personal reactions forming inside your mind and heart, and then you look to see what's being asked of you by the moment unfolding in front of you. If it's weather, okay. If you're being poured on or if you're being freezing, go inside, put on a coat, get an umbrella. And then he talks about traffic. You could also say like lines in stores. You're stuck behind somebody going slow. You have a reaction. So you start there. And you do your best in moments. I mean, I know like some of you are probably living with challenging situations where there might be people that are challenging to deal with. You do your best. And that may require setting a boundary, but you're setting it with a different energy and from a different place. You're setting it after you've handled yourself. Because what he says is that karma happens because we're not okay inside. And from that place where the energy is not okay, we react, we cling, we resist, we do things. Hold on. And from that, and he calls it like that, he said it earlier, like the animal instinct energy, or like a lower mind, like the lowest survival mind state energy. We manipulate the world outside of us to make us feel better inside. And he says that's how karma is created. Awesome. Thanks, Barbara. J.E. Yeah. Well, weather is low-hanging because there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it. So what he says is, he has almost a PhD in economics, Michael Singer. So he talks about cost-benefit analysis, which I think is something from his business or his university. He says it's basically a 0% benefit. Hold on, we've got some music coming by. It's a 0% benefit and 100% cost to arguing with reality in any form, and especially the weather. If we are mentally or energetically resisting weather, it's 100% cost and 0% benefit. It is economics. Yeah, and look at that, J.E., the mindset. So it's all about your mindset. And Maria and Madeline both talking about this quote, manipulating the world outside. So the first talk I did with Singer in this way was called Give Up on the Old Way. It's in my YouTube replays. I have a playlist for my Michael Singer live streams. This will be in there as well. And I also have on there a talk of the a playlist of the Michael Singer talks that I have done in these live streams. So you can access that, or you can ask me, I'll send it to you. Listen to that talk. It's called Give Up on the Old Way. The old way is I am manipulating the outside world in order to feel better inside. Manipulating the outside world can mean, trying to have, make people do things, influence people to do or not do things. Even changing, I want to say like changing the temperature of the house. It's not that you don't do something like that, or it's not that you don't just stand there and not do the logical thing. Like if it's pouring rain on you, you don't just be like, well, I'm surrendering. But that you work with the energy inside before you take the action. And Madeline, if it's your first time with these teachings, stick around. They will land the longer you hear them. Totally, Bruce. That's one of my favorite quotes I say often, Viktor Frankl's. Yes. So Bruce is giving a wonderful statement here. So my Viktor Frankl's quote is, what is it? Between stimulus and response, there is a choice. And in that pause, or in that space between stimulus and response, is your freedom. So again, it's not about not taking actions. It's about working with yourself from that you have established a seat of witness consciousness to which you observe the personal self, as Michael Singer calls it. You observe all of this. It's not that it doesn't happen anymore. Well, it does eventually. But when you're starting the process, as he said, default is how most of us are living, and we just go around reacting and acting and reacting on whatever is in the world. So you start to develop the seat of awareness, the seat of consciousness, the witness objective awareness that sits behind, and that's like a multi-dimensional thing, behind this human experience, and that you have established your seat of awareness, meaning that you never come off that seat. And that's what enlightened beings have. They've established that seat of awareness to where if the toxic person's there, if it's raining on your birthday, whatever, ABC, that the consciousness doesn't get sucked in and totally identified with the experience. So that's why we meditate. And Maria, so manipulation could be also, in regards with people. We pretend to be a certain way, we act a certain way. And this is a subtle distinction. You might take the exact same action, but it's coming from a different place. You might say the same words. Ooh, that's, yes, totally, Maria. Centered self-trust from objective awareness. Yeah, Maggie. I don't know if y'all saw me or put my little, when I went to Mike and met Michael Singer, he had these, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to use these in my live streams. I can show you the book cover. So the thing I quoted is from Surrender Experiment. And basically, to me, that, and I'll say the quote again, that quote is the thesis statement of his entire book and of his entire life, if you will. The main idea statement. He says, and the quote from the book is, "At this point in my journey, I saw that the process of surrender was done in two very distinct steps. One, you let go of the personal reactions of like and dislike that form inside your mind and heart." So that's where we're mainly working, where he mainly talks about, because, like, where do these personal reactions come from? How did they get there? Why are they there? What do they look like? Let go of the personal reactions of like and dislike that form inside your mind and heart. Like is clinging, wanting something to be a certain way. He talks about peak experiences like your wedding day, the birth of a child, going on a trip across the world or somewhere where, you're seeing the sunset or, that's or he also calls it a butterfly moment. That's like the butterfly. Ooh, the butterfly landed on my, So when we're in that energy, we're totally open. We're in non-resistance. But what happens is then we store that inside, and then we want to duplicate it. So there's the preference. It's right. He talks about if you go to a restaurant and you have this amazing experience, then you bring your friends back, and then they don't have the dish anymore, or there's a crying kid at the table next to you, right? So you're clinging to that experience you had, wanting it to be that way again. So that's the experience of like. The experience of dislike is all the things we resist. I don't like it. I don't want it. It's raining on my birthday. Oh no, the toxic person. My job that I hate. The highway. I have to drive, 2 hours in traffic every day. That's all the resistance. So we let go of the personal reactions of like and dislike that form inside our mind and heart. Earlier, the key example, for those of you that have been here the whole time, I had a preference. I had a preference that I know where my keys are. And I was awake in the experience of noticing the reactions that formed in my heart. There was like an energy, there was a tightness in the chest. Then there was the stories in the mind. So I did my best to let go. I mean, I didn't do it perfectly, but I want to compare myself to the past version of me who would just be like, my keys, So we let go of the personal reactions of like and dislike that form inside the mind and heart. And then, this is step 2, with the resultant sense of clarity. Because you've let go of clinging, you've let go of resistance, you've let go of the personal self and the personal reactions, you will have a resultant sense of clarity. You will be present. You simply look to see what is being asked of you. by the moment unfolding in front of you. Oh, that's curious. He talks about this moment took 13.8 billion years to get here. Wow, let's honor this moment. I mean, what he says is, like, in these later stages, it's like he says life is living you. Eckhart Tolle talks about that as well. Life is the dancer, you are the dance. Life is the dancer, we're not the dancer. That's a very deep statement. Life is the dancer, you are the dance. So when you work through all of this at a certain point, then you look to see what's being asked by the moment unfolding in front of you, and it's just presence, it's innocence. And so we're doing a Way of the Heart books or study series. It talks about innocence. It's about retraining the mind to have the innocence of a child, and that's what it's another way to say everything we're saying. Wow, what's being asked by the moment unfolding in front of me? Life is dancing with me. I'm the dance. Life's the dancer. What would I be doing if I wasn't being influenced? He says, living in this way has taken my life in a very different direction than my preferences would have led me. And if you read this book, it's mind-blowing. His life will blow your mind. So read this if you haven't. His life, I mean, I'll let you read it, and I won't give away the ending. I mean, he's still alive, but yeah. J.E., I hear you. It's not easy, it's simple. It is possible. It's a choice. So this is where, and I'm glad you're bringing this up, J.E., this is where the commitment comes in. You've got to want this before anything else. And he talks about this in other talks. It takes the biggest commitment every moment of your life. You can do it. It's not about ability. It's about willingness and intention. He talks about that as well. He says we have so much willpower. He says if you incarnated as a human, you are so strong in your willpower, and he gives examples. We might have listened, I think we listened to that talk in the last Michael Singer talk we did. People can do amazing things with their will. Totally, Jeff. It is. It's about not having, I mean, it's present moment living, present moment awareness. Yeah, Amy, it's the surrender experiment. So it's something to work towards. And as I said, and he says it, you don't start with your childhood trauma. You don't start. Now, if that's unfolding in your moment, you just do your best. So J.E., if there's something, that's very difficult, you do your best. I had a fucking difficult moment yesterday, like, whoa. It was, it triggered all my stuff, all of it. And I did my best. And I mean, my mind could judge myself. Well, you could have done better. Like, okay, thank you for sharing. There's that personal mind. Don't listen. It's not easy, and it's possible. So we build our muscles with scales. We build our muscles with low-hanging fruit. And then we do our best in those more challenging moments. Yeah, I love talking about Nelson Mandela, Maggie. Yeah, which brings up to me like an even like bigger topic of, you know, being a creator, you know, creating our reality, which we are diving into more and more in the Way of the Heart. So please join me for that series. If you don't know it, it's from the Way of Mastery, which is in the same realm as A Course in Miracles. So join me for that. Join me for the continuance of this talk. We're going to stop here. So perfect timing because he was about to switch gears and change topics. Totally, J.E. I totally hear you. It's, you know, physical health issues are challenging. And it's still possible. It's still possible. Hi, Geraldine. It depends on where somebody's at. I like recommending this surrender experiment first to people because it's a story, because it's and very easy to read, engaging. It's the story of his life. Of course, it's infused with spiritual teachings. So that's a great place to start. If you're like, if this talk today is kind of like, yeah, I've heard this all before in different ways. Like if you're pretty familiar with these concepts, then yeah, you might want to go to Untethered Soul, because this is more like a spiritual teaching that gives examples and analogies on different topics and, you know, stuff we're talking about. And living untethered, similar as well. So it depends on your sense. I always tell people to just to choose what feels right for you. And, you know, Amy, that's awesome. You're going to get this for your friend or recommend it. And yeah, if you're like getting it for somebody else, just feel into what you feel's best. Yeah, that's awesome, Maggie. Yeah, you're welcome, Maria. Thank you all. Thank you so much. So, as I said, I am going out of town for a few days. So there will be no Sunday morning live next weekend. And actually, I don't think I think this was the last live. Yeah, because I'm leaving Thursday. So stay tuned. Follow me if you don't already. You'll get notified of lives coming up. I will schedule those. Reach out if you feel called to schedule a one-on-one session or meet with me or talk about that. I have different offerings. You can find out about me. Follow me here. Give a donation if you'd like. This will be on YouTube and my channel. And Facebook, Insta, all that stuff if you want. Hi, Mishi. Oh, cool. You're welcome, Karen. Thank you all. I'm so grateful. Yeah, very grateful. So I will see you. Yeah, I'm about to start into a new endeavor, a huge endeavor for me that's starting on Thursday. I'm starting a 6-month coaching school. It's in LA, so I'm going to be flying there Thursday to Sunday. And yeah, just to say that. So when I come see you next week, I'm going to be a different person because I'm going to be in a different experience. in my life for the next 6 months. And I'll still be here doing what I do, and also, yeah, that too. Thanks, Wendy. Thank you all. Much love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Monica, Susan. Very grateful. It's 11:11 in Mexico. Woo! Okay. We'll end on that note. Thank you, Joe, and wonderful Susan. Glad to hear that. It's helpful to everybody, and me too. You teach what you most need to learn, so here I am.